Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are talking about something that is, well, literally everywhere. It's in our homes, our cars, and, yeah, unfortunately, in our oceans too. We're talking about plastic. It's this incredible modern marvel, but also a huge modern menace. So we're going to break down the crisis and the really cool innovations that are trying to solve it. All right, let's get right into it.
So first up, the crisis itself. To really get a handle on the problem, you have to understand the sheer scale and honestly, the incredible speed of plastic's takeover. It wasn't always this way. This is actually a pretty new problem, and it came with some massive, unintended consequences. Just look at this number for a second. 400 million tons. To put that in perspective, that's roughly the weight of every single human being on the planet, produced in new plastic every single year. It's an absolutely mind-boggling figure, and it really sets the stage for everything we're about to talk about. So the big question is, how on earth did we get here?
What's really wild here is just how fast this all happened. I mean, we went from plastic being this novel, new material in the 50s to it being in basically all our consumer goods by the 70s. But the real game changer, the moment things really went into overdrive, was the 2000s. That's when the convenience of single-use items, water bottles, plastic bags, all that packaging just became king. This huge shift from durable stuff to disposable stuff is exactly what led us to today's all-time production high and the massive waste crisis we need to unpack.
And that, of course, brings us to the next logical question. If we're making all of this plastic, where does it all end up when we're done with it? This is where the story takes a turn, moving from production to pollution.
And this quote, man, it just hits the nail on the head. The problem isn't necessarily plastic itself. I mean, it's an incredibly useful, versatile material. The real challenge is figuring out what to do with it after its often very, very short useful life is over. It's not a material crisis so much as it's a waste management crisis.
Wow. Okay, this chart tells a pretty stark story, doesn't it? The vast majority of our plastic waste ends up buried in landfills or burned. But just look at that tiny little green sliver. Only 9%. Just 9% of all plastic waste actually gets recycled. And you might be wondering, why is that number so low? Well, it's because a lot of plastics are just too contaminated, they're too hard to sort, or it's just not cost-effective to process them. It goes to show that our main solution for plastic waste is barely making a dent.
And this right here gets to the absolute heart of the paradox. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. We've created this material that's engineered to last for hundreds, even thousands of years, and we primarily use it to make things we plan on throwing away after just a few minutes. Think about a coffee cup lid, a plastic grocery bag, a takeout container. The material's greatest strength, its incredible durability, has somehow become its biggest environmental weakness.
All right, but it is not all doom and gloom, not even close, because this is where human ingenuity and innovation really start to kick in. So now we're going to dive into some of the new ideas that are trying to completely rewrite the story of plastic waste, turning it from a one-way street to the dump into a truly circular system.
So, when we say recycling, there are really two main ways to do it. On one side, you have mechanical recycling. This is the one we're all familiar with. Think of it like taking an old wax candle, melting it down, and making a new candle. It works, but the new candle is never quite as good as the original, and the quality gets worse each time you do it. But then on the other side, we have something called advanced recycling, and this is a total game changer. This is like taking that wax candle, breaking it down into its original, fundamental molecules, and then building a brand new, absolutely perfect candle from scratch. It can handle all sorts of messy, mixed-up plastic waste, and it creates a product that's just as good as the original.
So, how does this magic actually work? Well, it starts with gathering up all kinds of plastic waste, even the really tricky stuff that normal recycling plants can't touch. Then you get to the coolest part, conversion. Using high-tech processes like pyrolysis, which is basically just superheating the plastic in a zero-oxygen environment, we can break those long plastic polymer chains back down into their original, simple molecular building blocks. Once those molecules are purified, we can use them to make brand new plastics that are identical to plastics made from oil. It's literally recycling at the molecular level. Pretty amazing.
So, with these incredible new technologies, is the problem solved? Are we all good? Well, not quite. Advanced recycling is an incredibly powerful tool, for sure, but it's really just one piece of a much, much bigger puzzle that we need to put together for the future.
See, the real path to recovery isn't about finding one single silver bullet. We have to attack this problem from all sides. First, yeah, we absolutely have to invest in building out this new recycling infrastructure. But that tech is useless if we don't also improve waste collection systems around the world that actually feed it. At the same time, we have to get smarter about how we design products in the first place, making them easier to recycle from day one. And finally, and this is a huge one, we just have to reduce our reliance on unnecessary single-use plastics altogether. All of these pieces have to work together.
And the end goal for all of this? It's a really powerful concept called the circular economy. The whole idea is to shift away from our current linear model, the take something, make something, and then throw it away model. Instead, we move to a system where we design waste out from the very beginning. Materials like plastic are just kept in use in a closed loop for as long as humanly possible. That's the end game here.
Which leaves us with one final and really important question. The technology is getting better, the strategies are becoming clearer, but at the same time, our production of new plastic just keeps on growing. So the real challenge here is a race against time. Can our innovation and our solutions actually scale up fast enough to catch up with our consumption? Now that is something to think about.